welcome back to my channel. My name's Molly. I'm a mum in the UK of 2 children. I have a biological 4-year-old daughter, and last year me and my husband brought home our son through UK adoption. Today's video I am going to cover changes to our parenting. I didn't want to do a full video on therapeutic parenting because Amy Vlog here on YouTube has done a really good video about therapeutic parenting, which I will link below. But as we went into adoption with a biological daughter, we did have to transition our parenting to therapeutic parenting. So I wanted to share some of the elements of therapeutic parenting that we use and how we swapped over to them, which may be helpful for those of you with biological children or adopting for the first time. Therapeutic parenting is a style of parenting that we are encouraged to use as adoptive parents, even foster carers, for example, which really focuses on reducing the amount of shame that our children feel and ensuring that they feel safe. It focuses on how to reward children, how not to discipline children, so that they can feel safe around you when you are trying to set boundaries and structure within their lives. When we started the adoption process, me and my husband were already parenting our 3-year-old daughter. We had always taken the gentle parenting approach or the curiosity approach, which is very, very similar to therapeutic parenting, luckily. So we didn't have many changes to make. There's a lot of shared goals across the two, but there definitely are some differences. So I'm going to go through some of the things that we did change and how our parenting looks now for both of our children. A lot of people ask if we parent our children differently. The answer is no. Our daughter is not adopted, but we do parent her therapeutically just because it's similar to the way we used gentle parenting before, and we just wanted consistency within our parenting. So she responds well to elements of therapeutic parenting. She always has done, and so it works really, really well for us. So as I said, in adoption training, you will cover a lot about therapeutic parenting. And this is basically, like I said, to reduce shame and ensure that our children feel safe when we are setting boundaries. It's so important for children who have experienced trauma, loss or neglect to have boundaries and structure. They need routine, they need those boundaries, and they need a really solid structure so that they can feel safe. A lot of children who are adopted or who have been taken into care who have experienced trauma, neglect or loss will often show types of behaviour that may be seen as challenging, and that is because these are most likely survival strategies. Their brains have been wired to display this behaviour as a result of the trauma, loss or neglect they have endured. It is almost like a defence strategy. It's them protecting themselves. So it's always important to recognise that there is no bad behaviour in children. I've never believed that there is bad behaviour anyway. Children in general just don't have the emotional capacity so young to handle their emotions. And then when you throw trauma, neglect and loss on top of that, they really don't have the capacity to handle their emotions well. One of the first things that we changed was the way that we discipline. So I hate the word discipline, and I've never been one for, doing a naughty step or a timeout. In therapeutic parenting, one of the things that we do with discipline is we do it from an emotional and a curiosity aspect. We use something called PACE, which is playfulness, acceptance, curiosity and empathy. It is a model developed by Dan Hughes and one you will most likely encounter in adoption training or fostering training. You can definitely Google it. There's so many resources out there. And this is an approach to use to help children dysregulate or to discipline your child in a way that ensures that they feel safe and in a very kind way that is kind to their emotions. So playfulness might be used to dysregulate them and get them focused and make them feel happy and safe. Play triggers a lot of positive emotions. It's a great tool for children. And then the model is used as a healthy way to reset those boundaries. Gently let your children know that maybe something that they've done isn't acceptable. The aim is to ensure that your children know how to be responsible and safe without inducing shame or placing blame. The next thing that we have to become aware of is that challenging behaviour signals an unmet need. Children generally don't just lash out and have a tantrum because they feel like it. It's an unmet need, but especially in children who are being adopted, this behaviour can be an unmet need. So the way that me and my husband approach this is, right, this behaviour is present. what does my son need? What are we not meeting? You know, what comfort does he need? And that's the first thing that we have to recognise. We do this with our daughter as well. When she has a tantrum, we know that, you know, there's something wrong. She's not feeling safe. She's not feeling secure. And then how can we change that? As I said, we have never been about punishment or reward, but we made sure that this was removed completely from our parenting strategies. We ensure that it is removed in our support network. Our support network are very much aware of the way we parent, and so we don't have reward charts for doing things well. We don't punish either. So for example, if my little man breaks something in a rage or in a tantrum, we will not punish him for that, because that bad behaviour is an unmet need. It's not him trying to hurt us intentionally, shall we say. And so we use natural consequences. This is an element of therapeutic parenting you may hear of. For example, if a child has a tantrum and breaks an iPad, the natural consequence is that they don't have their iPad to watch anymore. They don't need to be put in a naughty corner or in timeout. We use this a lot, especially with our daughter as well. If a glass is smashed, then they don't have a glass to have a drink from. We have to find another one, and then they've lost their favourite glass. So thinking about how you can incorporate natural consequences is a really effective therapeutic parenting tool. As I said, we don't do timeouts either. We do something called time in. Now, we'd never done timeouts with our daughter before, but we'd never done time in, if that makes sense. Time in is something that looks like, for example, my little man breaks an iPad and I can see that he's really dysregulated. I'm internally upset and quite cross, but I'm trying to focus and remain therapeutic. And I may say, little man, I'm feeling very sad, I'm feeling very upset, and I know that you'll be upset because you've broken your iPad. We won't be able to watch it now. I can see that you're not okay, so I want you to come and sit next to me while we both cool down and have some quiet time so that I can make sure you're okay. Similarly with my daughter, it might be that she's smashed her favourite glass. I have to clean it up, make sure immediate dangers are removed, and then I'll say, big miss, I can see that you're really upset. I'm upset too. I want you to come and sit next to me while I do some work so that I can make sure that you're okay. And that basically ensures that your child knows that you are still there for them. There's no ignoring, there's no shaming, there's no placing blame. It's just a really useful therapeutic tool that helps keep your child safe through that discipline element or boundary setting. The next thing that we have started using is called Wondering Aloud, and this is a Sarah Naish special. You may have heard of Sarah Naish. She is pivotal in therapeutic parenting. She wrote the A to Z of therapeutic parenting, and Wondering Aloud is a tool that we use to explore unmet needs. So as I said earlier, challenging behaviour can signal an unmet need, and me and my husband had always just not even bothered to try and figure out what this need was. We'd just presume. And we realised the importance of working through this with our children. Now, my little man is still a little bit young. He can't communicate verbally, but he has phenomenal understanding. So we are starting to progress this with him. But an example with my daughter might be, she's broken her favourite glass. We'll use the same example. And she's really dysregulated. She can't breathe because she's crying so much. And she's in a state where she just can't even focus. So initially we use playfulness to calm her down. And then to try and identify the unmet need, we will use Wondering Aloud. For example, I wonder if you broke the glass because you're feeling really tired and that makes you really, really grumpy. Or I wonder if you broke the glass because you're feeling hungry and you need something to eat. Or I wonder if you broke the glass because mummy and daddy weren't giving you attention because we were playing with little man. And what we found that happens is our daughter will shake her head or nod when we get the right one. We identify the need, we kind of correlate that with the behaviour, and we reflect on it so that we're more aware next time, and as therapeutic parents we learn from it. That has worked so well with our children. It's working with little man now that he's got a really good understanding. He can nod, he can shake his head, and it's a really, really vital way of understanding how your little one's brains are working, what they're thinking, even if they can't communicate with you because either they're pre-verbal or because they're just so emotionally unregulated within that moment. Another therapeutic model that we have started using to initially address tantrums or challenging behaviour with both our children is something called the parents model. Now, I've not heard about this. I've not heard this been spoken about a lot within the adoption community, but it's one that I really resonate with and that I use a lot. It's a tool by Sarah Naish again, and it's a model for immediately dealing with a scenario. So for example, your child smashes an iPad or they throw a glass on the floor. It's about that immediate moment, how you're going to deal with this. So the P is for pause, A, assess, R, reflect, E for empathy, N for nurture, T for think, S for self-care. A crucial model that I think every parent needs to know about. So for example, my daughter smashes a glass, I pause, I immediately try and focus really quickly, I pause, I then assess, is there glass everywhere? Are either of my children in any danger? Have they got glass in them? Is she going to do it again? Remove all dangers. Reflect, why did this happen? I think, what triggered this? What behaviour was she displaying? What emotions was she displaying? What was I not aware of? What was my little man doing? E, empathy, and this looks like PACE, using the PACE model to ensure that my children are okay, they're feeling safe, and they're deregulated from their emotional states. N is for nurture, so we have a cuddle, we'll do time in maybe and have a cuddle. T is to think about how we can prevent this from happening next time, and S is for self-care, because I'm not going to lie, if my kid breaks an iPad, I'll be really upset because they're expensive. Any parent would be. So it might just be that my husband is around and I say, husband, I just need 10 minutes upstairs to calm down, can you take over? And it's a great model to put into practice. It took some time to work. Me and my husband definitely use it differently. It can be very testing to use at times when you are really emotionally dysregulated yourself, if your children are triggering something in you, but one that requires a lot of practice and is really effective when you can use it. And as always, the last bit that we incorporated is self-care. We did self-care before, I suppose, but there was certainly not a huge emphasis on it. We plan self-care time every single week. We make sure that I have it. We make sure that my husband has it. Even if we don't feel like we need it, we have that time because it just keeps us on our game and it makes sure that we are being the best parents that we can be. I will leave a list of really good resources below that we found useful in our transition to therapeutic parenting. There's some books, there's training, there's some webinars, and there's some organisations that might be really, really helpful as well. So I do hope that has been helpful. As I said, I will link Amy Vlog's video below about therapeutic parenting. I hope that this has given you some more specific examples of how we use it within our family and how you might use it within your family. If you do have any questions though, please just pop them below. Or you can find me on Instagram at MollyMamaAdopt. I'm happy to share some of my experiences or answer any of your questions. Please also subscribe to my channel for adoption related content, and if you have any suggestions, please let me know and I will add them to my list. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye!